What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Everybody know that the NFL is a quarterback league, so it stands to reason that people are putting Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes as the top two candidates for the MVP so far this season. Both guys are putting up tremendous stats. Russell Wilson has thrown 12 touchdowns, no interception. He doesn't have an elite receiver, and he's got a strong running game as Rashard Penny has been putting up good numbers. And I think the backup running back is Kaysen. So they've got one of the best rushing attacks. So he's having a great season. Make no mistake about it. Patrick, my homeboy, having a good season too. 10 touchdowns, 0 interception, with one less game played than Russell Wilson. He's had to do it with Tyreek Hill getting injured early in the first game against Jacksonville. He's made what is the guy named Watkins? He's made Watkins have a good resurrection of a career as he was looking like a bust in Buffalo as he's battled through injuries. He's made him had a great season so far. Sammy Watkins. He's he's got Kelsey. He's got a lot of weapons though. He's got Travis Kelsey. He hasn't had the running back that he had last year as he got suspended from the NFL when he had a assault domestic violence issue with a lady in a hotel that got recorded, and he's out the league right now as he works his way back, and he's been let go by the team. He's actually with the Cleveland Browns. Team right now, and he's going to miss 8 games, so he'll be back during the midway point of the season. But they've lost him. He was a Pro Bowl level running back. So Patrick Mahomes has had a very good season. But I'm here to tell you that the best player in the NFL right now is Christian McCaffrey. The guy is unbelievable. 866 total yards from scrimmage. The guy's making it happen in the run game and the passing game. Doing it with a backup quarterback as Cam Newton's been out the last 3 games. And when he was playing, he was ineffective as he tried to play through an injury that he suffered in a preseason game with against the New England Patriots, as he's was diagnosed with the Lisfranc foot injury. So he's been putting up numbers when the defense has been focused. You can say last year when he's putting them numbers, you can say, well, defense is focused on Cam because he's a dual threat and he's opened up things for McCaffrey. But actually this season, as Cam Newton has not been there for the last 3 games, and the defense has been focused on McCaffrey. And as Carolina Panthers don't have an elite receiver. Their starting receivers is DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. Neither one of those guys have established themselves as an elite number 1 receiver. So he's doing it when the defense is focused on him, backup quarterback, and he's making it happen. He is making it happen, man. The guy is a great threat out the backfield, running and throwing. He's a mismatch out there with the linebackers. No linebacker can stay with him. Not even the safeties can stay with him. You have to actually put a corner back on him to try to stay with the guy, and that's very hard to do. Because you don't know if he's going to stay in and block. He's a good blocker, knows how to pick up the blitz, but you don't know if he's going to stay in the block or leave out the backfield. So he's more times than not is matched up on the linebacker, and it's just a complete mismatch, man. That guy is unbelievable. He is the best running back in the NFL so far this season. He's took that throne from Ezekiel Elliott. That's who I had as the number 1 running back going into the season. He's took that throne. Him and Alvin Kamara has probably been the 2 best running backs, but I think McCaffrey has been a notch above even Alvin Kamara. So Alvin Kamara has had great numbers too so far this season. But again, he has a number 1 receiver out there. The defense had to focus on in Thomas, and he's had up to the last 2 games, he's had a quarterback in Drew Brees that you have to game plan for one of the most prolific passers in the history of the NFL. So these guys have had a lot to work with. McCaffrey has not. He has not had a lot to work with. When teams are playing Carolina Panthers, they're saying we've got to stop or we've got to slow down Christian McCaffrey. They're game planning to stop him, and they're still not doing any good. The guy's putting up monster numbers. He is the James Harden of the NFL. Defenses know what he's going to do, and they still can't stop it. He's just that good that is playing at that higher level so far this season. So I know a lot of people are going to be like, man, you're crazy. It's a quarterback league. The two best the MVPs of the season so far has got to be out of Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. That's the two top candidates. And they're definitely in the running. You know, we got a lot more football to be played. But right now, I would put Christian McCaffrey as my number one guy on the MVP list. I would have Russell Wilson number 2 and Patrick Mahomes number 3. Subject to change. They still got to play, 12 more games. In some cases, 11 more games, as we see what Patrick Mahomes do tonight against the Colts. So it's still a lot of football left to be played. But if the season ended today, as you know, as we always like to say when we're doing these projections and these opinionated picks, if the season ended today, it would not be Russell Wilson as great as he's playing. It would not be Patrick Mahomes, boy, as great as he's playing. The MVP and the best player in the game right now. He's the best player in the game and the MVP. These are two different. It's apples and oranges. It ain't the same thing. I'm not saying well just because he's the best player don't mean he's the MVP. I'm saying he's number 1 in both categories. He's the best player in the game right now, and he's the MVP of the league right now. Christian McCaffrey of the Carolina Panthers. He don't get a lot of publicity. He's probably one of the best kept secrets in the NFL. Because when you talk about running backs, they're gonna talk about Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, Alvin Kamara. But he's better than all those guys right now. He's playing at a higher level than all those guys right now. You talk about, going into the season. When they did that top 100 players, the top 100 players in the NFL, Aaron Donald was number 1 on that list going into the season. As Aaron Donald does. I don't think he has a sack, or he might have 1 sack now. I think he got a sack the other game. The game they played against Seattle. I think he might have got a sack there. But he was going into that game with 0 sacks. And that's not everything, end all to be all. But he's getting double teamed in a lot of instances. But he was getting double teamed last year, and he put up monster numbers. So you can't use that as an excuse. He just has not been as dominant. Whatever the case may be, he's not been as dominant as he was last season. So going into the season, he was rated number 1 by his peers. But so far this season, the number 1 guy, I'm going to say this again, the number 1 guy through 5 games is Christian McCaffrey. He's the best player in the NFL right now. And he's my pick as the MVP so far this season. Well, like I said, I have the right to change my pick because, we got a lot of more football to be played. But right now, he is putting that team on his back, and he's got that team in contention in the division. Now, they're going to have to get through the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are a juggernaut right now. Great defense, great running back. They got Bridgewater, probably the best backup quarterback in the NFL. He's playing at a high level. He's showing teams that he can start. So, yeah, I would be looking for him to maybe be a starting quarterback next season. Maybe they keep him, and maybe he's the heir apparent to Drew Brees. We'll see how that plays out as they got the other third quarterback over there, Taysom Hill. That I think they've been saying they're going to groom him to be the quarterback. So we'll see how that all plays out. But he's definitely going to be starting in the near future, if not in New Orleans. Somewhere place else as Teddy Bridgewater is playing at a high level. But they're 4-1. Carolina Panthers are 3-2 after starting the season off 0-2. So if he can somehow win that division and keep putting up these numbers, or maybe even just get one of those last 2 wild card spots. Maybe New Orleans wins the division and Carolina gets one of those 2 wild card spots, and he keeps putting up these type of numbers. Christian McCaffrey will have a strong case to be the MVP of the NFL. So we'll see how it plays out, though. It's just early season projection, and we'll see how it plays out the rest of the season. But again, Christian McCaffrey, in my humble opinion, is the MVP of the league through 5 games, and he's the best player in the NFL so far this season. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.